How's it going, everybody? I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. I know this isn't exactly a collector's video, but it has a lot to do with something that I've noticed that's been happening in higher frequency now. In particular, it's happening to my customers in the New York City area. Now, I know my channel is not exactly political, and by the way, I'm actually preparing some ribeyes. I got the little lady sitting right there. I'm going to have some ribeyes made for us with gravy and mushrooms with some macaroni salad. So we're going to eat good. But anyway, I grew up in New York City. I left New York City because there's nothing there for me. New York City was once a great place, but now it's become a haven for left-wing it-what-who pronouns socialist BLM types who just want to live for free. They want the system to pay for everything. And of course, it's anti-family, anti-white, anti-police. You know, I used to make a rant about this a long time ago on YouTube. The criminal, radical, fascist, socialist, leftist, communist, Marxist, hashtag MeToo, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, anti-white, anti-family, anti-parent, anti-Trump, anti-police, bedbug-infested, crime-ridden regime of the COVID concentration camp, illegal immigrant refugee camp, pro-diddler, pro-pedophile regime of New York. And that rant will never leave me. It's built into my brain now at this point. But you can't blame the politicians. The only people that you can blame for what's going on up there now, in particular with the congestion pricing, are yourselves, if you voted Democrat. My New York was great post 9/11 because at least when tragedy strikes, which is a real shame to have to say a thing like this, people actually came together and stood side by side and put aside their politics because humanity truly mattered at that time. But then again, of course, with, you know, good old Governor Bush's Patriot Act, which I was completely against, and then going into Iraq, which I was against as a voting Republican once I transitioned over at that time, there were a lot of things I did not agree with post 9/11. I was probably like most of you. I hate war. I don't want to see fights. I don't want to see people killing each other. But when there's power to be had, and there's things to fight over, well, guess what our world leaders are going to do? You see that with Russia and Ukraine right now. I'm not picking sides, but obviously I'm not for Ukraine because they're getting all these billions of dollars, but then meanwhile people that got affected by Hurricane Helene here in the Carolinas, well, where's their help? We're always trying to fix something somewhere else, but nobody wants to take care of our people. But again, I'm kind of straying a little bit off topic. I just want you guys to know where I stand with certain things. Quite frankly, I don't care what people do with themselves, but once you start to infringe your bullshit on others, I have a problem with that. Though my leanings are slightly libertarian, I still have a lot of traditional values. And I'm not going to let that go for anybody. I'm not compromising for anybody. I mean, I've had people try to have me arrested and thrown in jail and you know, all this crap, and yet here I am still going strong. Nothing's going to stop me. No one's going to get in my way. Not God, not Jesus, not the Pope, not the Dalai Lama, not anybody. I will continue to do what I do. So, but that's the one thing that I learned about living in New York is that they all whine and complain about everything. But meanwhile, they're the ones that put these politicians into place. It's the voters' fault. New Yorkers, just like in California, they did it to themselves. They all did it to themselves. Never blame Gavin Newsom. Blame the voters that put him in power. That goes for Trump as well. Hey, if Trump does something wrong, I'll be the first one to say it. The one thing about Trump, even though he is a master at really putting the media in their place, is that sometimes he says things that maybe go a little too far, and I agree with a lot of people that have made that assessment, and here I am wearing a MAGA hat. But, you know, sometimes his rhetoric does go a little too far. But he's still he's the better of two evils, in my opinion. And I hope to God that he does what he did in his first term and cuts back on taxes and stuff like that. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because I'm getting messages from my eBay customers, in particular in the 5 boroughs, that their orders are not showing up. And I have a feeling that that's a couple things. One, the post office has been in the news recently, where postal workers have been caught throwing out mail. Years ago, it actually happened here in South Charlotte, where the local post office, they were caught throwing mail out in the dumpsters behind the post office there. And they got into a lot of trouble for that. But I also think it has a lot more to do with this congestion pricing because normally from here to New York, if I send any sports cards via standard email under standard mail under $20, it usually takes about 5 to 7 days for said envelope to arrive. That's just the way it is from here to New York, specifically the 5 boroughs. I can't speak for the upstate, but it takes a little bit longer using that service. But it's the cheapest service, and that's the one that's universally used for a lot of my sales. And I think my customers appreciate that because, well, they don't want to pay an arm and a leg. They're already paying enough for a lot of the cards I have. And by the way, a few of you may have noticed that some of my prices have slightly gone up. That's because of the market value. I've been looking at a lot of the prices on a lot of the cards I've been selling, and I decided to adjust my prices, but I still try to keep those prices lower than everybody else because I want to remain competitive. And that's just the nature of the game, unfortunately. So I'm still trying to keep my prices cheap for all of you, but, you know, given the way things are, you know, I want to remain as competitive as I possibly can. So unfortunately, I've had to raise my prices just slightly. But a lot of those cards use the $20 option. If you have, basically what the $20 option is, if you have a card that you're purchasing and it's under $20, you can use eBay standard shipping, which I believe at this current time, it's $1.29 for a single card. I can get up to 3 cards per envelope. But unfortunately, I can't send them in top loaders. I have to send them in type 1s or card saver 1s because they really harp on that thickness of the envelope. And then weight becomes an issue, etc. I do have a scale right here in my kitchen that I use when I mail out my cards. I actually input the dimensions myself into eBay's algorithm so that this way everybody can be charged a fair price where you're not getting ripped off or anything like that. But the post office lately has had a lot of issues. Postal workers have been caught throwing out envelopes or people's mail. You know, if you're someone that's like me on permanent disability and on a pension and you got medical issues, that can become a problem because at least with me, you know, I have certain resources that I get in certain ways that at least I don't have to rely on the post office every day for my stuff to arrive. I have other means of receiving what I get. But with that being said, you know, when postal workers, and it just happened again recently, and I forgot exactly where it is. You guys would have to fact check me on Google. But yeah, postal workers, again, were caught throwing out mail. That's a big no-no. That's a crime. Now imagine if somebody's Social Security check, or let's just say you have a child with severe disabilities, you know, and you rely on that money or medication to, you know, take care of your kid. Well, if the post office is throwing out your mail, that kid's going to suffer. So they got caught doing that recently. And then in my former home in New York, which is why I'm so pissed off when I see things like this and why I attack my former home like the way I do, because they do it themselves. It's the voter. It's not the politician. It's the person that's in the voting booth that's arrogant and ignorant and narcissistic enough to not, you know, a lot of people up there, let me tell you, they're very, very cavalier with their attitudes. They think they're the best. People down here hate New Yorkers. I've adapted quite well. I've been down here now for almost 10 years now, surprisingly. But people from down here, they really don't like former New Yorkers because they come with an attitude. But me, I came down here going through the meat grinder. I came down here suffering and hurting and everything else. And obviously, given my political stance and beliefs, they've accepted me quite well down here. Even though people have tried their damnedest to try to slander and libel me online, or have tried to get me in trouble with law enforcement. Anytime law enforcement got involved, well, what do you think happened? I've been acquitted, charges have been dropped, because I covered my bets now. I've learned that there are people that are out there, and this is not paranoia, that they are out to get you. And especially if you're somebody like myself who supports the Orange Man. Because they are fascist dictators. You don't see us going out there burning down towns and, you know, lighting cars on fire and jumping turnstiles and all that stuff. It's the left that does that. Because that's what they are. They're animals. But many of you don't care about the politics, and for that, I give you my utmost respect because many of you don't want politics. You're apolitical, and you just want to collect cards or jerseys, or in my case, like I collect a lot of Transformers as well, and, you know, you just want to have your little world and be left the hell alone. And when it comes to that, you have my absolute full support. I am with you 100% because even I get tired of it. I don't wear MAGA hats every day. I'm only wearing it for the purpose of this video and just to piss people off. But it does reach a point where it's like, you know, there are people that are out there who don't care about politics. They just want their cards. They want their toys. They want their Magic the Gathering stuff. I know sometimes I may poke fun at certain collectors, but at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, we are all collectors, one and the same, no matter what political spectrum you support or come from. Collecting is collecting. But then once those franchises get polluted by these idealisms, whether it's conservative or leftist or liberal, well, then it spoils everything. Now, I watched a YouTube content creator recently, and I'm not going to say his name, but I used to be a big fan of his, and then clearly he's been showing his true colors as to how far left he leans. And he was talking about Transformers Earthspark. And of course, they used pronouns. Now, why do you think the show is getting canceled or has been canceled? Because political ideology has been injected into a franchise that's been around for 40 years. We don't care. We don't want pronouns. We don't care if they're black Transformers, fat Transformers, midget Transformers, disabled Transformers, if that's even a thing. We don't care. We just want a good story with great characters, with a lot of action, and something that's fun. Because even I get tired of wearing stuff like this. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. That's why Earthspark got canceled. Nobody wants politics in these franchises. Look what happened with He-Man, for example. When What's-His-Face tried to bring back He-Man, it got canceled. Because he was injecting his political ideologies, killed off He-Man in the first episode, I believe. And then Teela was the hero? Isn't it called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? Let me just think, unless my English is not right. But anyway, you know, now with this congestion pricing that's going on in New York, I have a very strong and sneaking suspicion that a lot of my orders are going to suffer, which means, in particular, like I sold the Paul Skeens yellow border. This is actually for this particular customer, by the way. You know, he bought a yellow border Paul Skeens off me. I believe it was like $35, $35 plus, you know, the shipping and whatnot. And you can see it in transit, but then all of a sudden it stops. There's nothing I can do about that. That's completely in the hands of the post office. The only thing I can do is reassure my customer that, yes, I processed your order. It was sent out. Here's the tracking number. It's on the way, but it's stuck in Brooklyn somewhere. And I think a lot of this has to do with this congestion pricing. I feel truly sorry for a lot of my customers who just want cards. They don't want to deal with the politics. They don't want to deal with the nonsense. Even with myself sometimes, I don't want to deal with reality. I really don't. There are times I just want to hang out with my friends. Like last night, had a real good time on my patio. And then, like I said, the little lady is right here watching me make this video. And, you know, it's been a fantastic Friday. There are days where I don't want this. I don't care about this. You know what I mean? But it reaches a point where I have to bring this up because now with congestion pricing affecting almost all of New York, deliveries are going to be a lot slower. People are already trying to subvert the cameras and trying to get out of these congestion pricing zones. So people are already pissed off. But like I said, if you are a New Yorker and you vote Democrat, you did that to yourselves. You shot yourselves in the foot, but you never learn, do you? That's why people like me leave. I mean, we may not have a supermajority here in North Carolina as Republicans, but at least there's a little bit more balance. Because when one side, and I hate to say this, and I hope this does not hold true for Republicans, that they just don't go on a tear doing stupid shit. Because once one side has political control, like we saw for the past 4 years with Biden, look what they did. Now we're going to have potentially 4 years of Republicans running the show. What's going to happen? Who knows? But political power in the hands of any group, even as a Trump supporter, can potentially have some dangers there. But at the end of the day, who's the one to blame? It's the voter. So I have a feeling a lot of my orders, especially if you live in the 5 boroughs of New York, are probably going to take longer to arrive than you would normally expect. And there's nothing I can do about that. The only thing I can do is assure you that your cards do go out, that your orders have been shipped. That's why I do make content like this, especially with my YouTube shorts, where I hold myself accountable. As a matter of fact, I got 2 orders off camera that I've already processed. As a matter of fact, I might as well do this now. It doesn't pay to make a YouTube short. I don't want to dox anybody, but there's an envelope here, and there's a box, a small USPS box and both of these are, returning customers, by the way. This person ordered 32 cards. The order came out to like $80, but once I adjusted the shipping per card to get it all combined, as you guys know I do if you're regular customers of mine, the shipping only came out to like $9.42. So I refunded my customer around $38 or something like that. I forget what the numbers are. So in actuality, this person only paid like $40 to $50 for these cards. And there's 32 cards in this box. So, I'm very good with that sort of thing when it comes to my customers. I try to refund people when I can. If you pay too much for shipping, sometimes eBay, you have to sit down on eBay and do it yourself and do all the math. But again, here it is. So these two orders are already processed. Again, I don't want to dox anybody, but they're ready to go. But with that being said, I have a strong sneaking suspicion that now with the congestion pricing and everything that's going on, not just in New York, but in general, what's happening with the post office. I mean, postal workers have been caught throwing out trash. If you actually do a Google search, you'll find that in Pineville, North Carolina, the post office that's right around the corner over here got busted for doing the same thing years ago. So with all that being said, folks, is like I said, I'm doing my ribeyes right now on the skillet there with a lot of butter. Oh man, ribeyes and butter with some decent seasoning, salt, pepper, onion and garlic powder and all that stuff. Oh, it comes out fantastic. And then I got the macaroni salad sitting right here ready to go. So I'm going to wrap this up in a nice, neat little bow. Again, I don't want to be overly political when it comes to things like this, but unfortunately, because my former home of New York City, and I'm not blaming you guys, I'm blaming the idiots that go into the voting booth who vote for this crap. You're the ones who are going to pay the price for somebody else's stupid decision making. And of course, when I watch it on the news down here, I have to laugh because they did it to themselves. Don't blame Kathy Hochul. Don't blame Eric Adams. Blame you. You voted for these people. It's your fault. It's not his fault. It's your fault. So I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of your orders from the 5 boroughs of New York City, if you're ordering cards off of me, and again, like I said, I'm a former New Yorker. I had a wonderful career in union construction up there until I went down to the Trade Center site. Got all screwed up with my health. Financially, I was screwed up. A lot of things happened in my personal life. People attacked me for being a fraud, and blah, 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 blah. And it's all bullshit. And I'm still here. And that's the thing with this postal worker that got stabbed by this Ep.199 genetic defect over a sandwich online in a deli in New York City. This man went through hell. Maybe that's why I'm taking this video a little personally. This man went through hell and put his life back together and got a good job and was doing the right thing. And then, of course, an Ep.199 genetic freak show decided that, well, I guess he was beneath it, and it killed him. It's really sad, the state of affairs that we live in, folks. It's really awful. It's just so awful. But I have a feeling that there's a lot going on with the post office. As a matter of fact, from what I've been reading, Trump is looking to privatize the post office. What will that mean for all of us? I don't know. Obviously, all of you want cheaper shipping prices. I don't blame you because a lot of stuff is very expensive to ship. That's why I bought myself a scale. I bought myself, as a matter of fact, I think I showed this on camera already. Sorry about that. You okay? Okay. All right, I got the thumbs up. So anyway, I bought one of these. This is a template from the post office. I mean, it's clear, but you can see the cutouts. There's a built-in ruler and all that stuff. This is what I use for my envelopes, so that this way it takes away or reduces the chances that the post office is going to reject your orders. So if it fits through here, because the lazy ass is too lazy, even if it scrapes up just a little bit, they'll reject it. I've had orders come back to me like that, which is stupid. But I've got a post office scale. I've got all that kind of thing. But I have a feeling that with the now looming threat of the post office being privatized, this murder that took place in New York City, and with certain postal workers across other jurisdictions throwing out people's mail, I got a feeling that this year is just going to be awful for people like myself that tend to sell sports cards and other items on eBay. So I wanted to put this all out there for you and give you context and perspective. especially in New York City. If you are customers of mine in the 5 boroughs, I can't speak for the upstate or Long Island, but when it comes to the 5 boroughs, I would hope that you would anticipate, well, potentially if they have to go through New York City, as far as my cards are concerned, through their postal system, and the physical driver has to go through the congested pricing area, I don't know how they have to pay for that, or if they have to pay for that at all because they are public, I guess they're public sector, and I'm sure they would get some sort of discount or what have you, but it's going to affect you guys. Your orders are going to take a little bit longer than usual, and I think that's what's happening here. I'm sorry to drag the politics side into this, but you have to be realistic that the post office has been, a lot of postal workers have been caught throwing out people's mail. And now with this young fella who got stabbed by this who genetic pronoun defect, I have a feeling New York City, it's just going to get worse for you guys. And I truly feel sorry. I know none of you want to see this. Like, I'm sure none of you, as a matter of fact, out of respect for you guys. Where are you? Just for respect for you guys, I'm still a New Yorker at heart. I was born there, bred there, worked there, went to school there, but my New York died after 9/11. And once people like de Blasio took over again, I don't want to get political, my New York has been dying a slow death. And the things that I see that are happening there, with nightclubs being shot up, with people being pushed on the train tracks, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, folks. My New York doesn't exist anymore. It's long since dead. It's a zombie. And it's never going to change so long as the ignorant voter continues to vote for these politicians. Again, it's not the politicians that I blame. It's the voter. It's the people that put Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul in charge. And as a result, you get Alvin Bragg and you get Letitia James and the likes of that. But again, forgive me for being overly political in this video. I hope your orders get to you. If you have any questions, message me either here on YouTube or message me on eBay. I'll do my best to see where your cards are at. The one customer, like I said, their card, their Paul Skeens Yellow from Update, is stuck in Brooklyn. It's been sitting there since early this week. I have no answer for that, but it did ship. It's up there right now, but it's in the hands of the post office, and quite frankly, there's not much I can do about that. But I will do my best to try to reassure my customers that I'm on top of that sort of thing. So if you have any questions about your orders, guys, find me here on YouTube. You can message me on eBay. You know, I do this type of content outside of like the collection sector because I want to hold myself accountable because it's your money. Believe me, I get what it's like not to have money. I was homeless for a year. I've been fighting in a court system for my 9/11 benefits and payments due me. I won 2 out of my 3 cases. You know, I'm very fortunate to be in a position that I'm in right now because I fought long and hard. I went through so much crap over the past 8 years since I left New York that, you know, at least now my life has improved. I got a beautiful new girlfriend now. You know, the lifestyle I live, it's a lot cleaner. You can see, I mean, I lost a ton of weight, man. I used to be like 270 pounds. Now I'm down to like 206, again, because here I am cooking a nice home meal for her and I. You know, and there's no junk and garbage. So a lot of things in my life have changed and improved. When people say, oh, I can't do it, you know, it's because of white supremacy, toxic masculinity, it's because they haven't tried. They haven't tried. They haven't gone to the meat grinder like I have. So they start playing the blame game. Do like what I did. Fight for yourself. I've had people try to have me arrested. I have mugshots online right now with people claiming that I'm a stalker, that I was out in the pool over here and that I pulled out a gun. Of course, none of it was true. Otherwise, I'd be in jail. Here I am. Charges dropped. All charges against me acquitted across the board. Like always, because I know there's certain people watching this video, because I am right. You could tell how much this issue means to me because, you know, again, I know a lot of you just want to collect. You don't want to hear this stuff. I don't like talking about it. Quite frankly, I've had enough of the politics already. But I want to make sure that when it comes to your money and you're buying items off of me, that you get your items, period, end of discussion. And I'm sorry that, unfortunately, this thing with this congestion pricing and the things that are going on with the post office, will they be privatized? I don't know. They've been talking about that. And once Trump gets into office, I don't know what he's going to do. He's very unpredictable. You know, he means business. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do something, which is why I support him. He's not a windbag like the rest of these people are. They promise you everything and you get nothing in return. So will he privatize the post office? Who knows? Excuse me. You know, it's going to take a little bit longer for your orders to get up there. I'm anticipating that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's happening in this particular case with one of my customers here, with this Paul Skeens yellow order. So the only thing I can ask is be patient with me, especially if you're in the New York area. There's nothing I can do about it. If there is a blatant problem with the card in and of itself, obviously with the card swapping, I've had to take measures to protect myself as well from people trying to swap out cards and all that by using tamper-proof labels and sealing the envelopes in such a way that only I know. And I've also done slight little things with the envelopes to know that if somebody did try to open it, I'll know it. But I've had to do these things, unfortunately. But the one thing I do want to do, especially for my repeat customers, is I want to protect all of you. You know, I've stepped it up a little bit. Like I really wasn't using, I don't want to dox this person. I wasn't using fragile stickers on the regular envelopes. But I've been doing that now because why not? You know what I mean? It just signals to the post office that let's just be a little more careful with this particular order. Well, those steaks are starting to look nice. So anyway, you know, I'm trying my best to keep up with it, guys. If you have any questions, message me here on YouTube, message me on eBay. I'll do my best to answer them. But once they're out of my hands and they're in transit, there's really not much I can do about it at that point. So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone. I'm sorry that this video was a little more political than I wanted it to be. But unfortunately, the reality of what's going on in New York is going to affect a lot of you if you're buying cards off me. And I have a feeling the congestion pricing is going to be a huge factor. And then if Trump decides to privatize the post office, who knows what that's going to lead to. And then you got to deal with postal workers throwing out people's mail on top of that. And let's just say, and I didn't even think about this until this second, if this particular customer, even though I believe this incident took place in the Bronx, what would happen if your postal carrier was unfortunately unalived by one of these who pronoun genetic defects and your mail was in his bag? You have to think about that as well too, folks. I'm sorry, this is reality. This is a reality check. This is the world we live in, folks. But again, I will do my best to keep up with all of you. Again, I'm sorry to my customers if you have to deal with this sort of thing. But you know how to reach me. This video, of course, I'm holding myself accountable to all of that, but there are certain things that unfortunately are out of my hands. But I will do my best to address it. On that note, folks, thank you so much. I got to start paying attention to these steaks because they're starting to brown real nice now. So take care, God bless, stay safe, and keep the collecting going, folks. It's the one thing I think that we all have collectively to get us away from all this garbage. So take care, everyone. I'll see you soon.